Happy Camper Radio starts in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to the Happy Camper Radio Show. This is the place to be, the only place. When you're ready to talk camping, camping is what we're about. Camping is all we talk about. Our phone number here is 404-537-CAMP. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, and add us to your circles on Google+. Of course, you can access any one of our social media sites from one convenient location, and that's our homepage, which is www.happycamperradio.com. And while you're there, take some time to look around, check out some of the videos we posted online, as well as some of the photographs. And don't forget, if you haven't already done so, click on the RSS feed button, and this way you can subscribe to our show and never miss a single episode. I'm going to go ahead and light our campfire and get that lit right at the moment. You know, we're a little bit behind in getting this episode published, and the main reason for that is the fact that I was out of town last week. I was on a 3-day business trip up in upstate New York. I thought it was going to be very quick, very simple. I would get back, get the show done. I haven't flown in an awful long time, and the jet lag kicked me in the butt. I had 2 layover flights getting to New York. It was a 1-day workshop, 2 layover flights getting back, and I felt like a truck ran over me. And it was a really tough time getting myself adjusted. I had to go right back to work as soon as I returned. So trying to get caught up on sleep and all the rest and everything else in between. I haven't even mowed my lawn yet. I'm going to probably get Daniel to do that after he gets home from work today. And speaking of Mr. Wonderful, it's kind of quiet in the studio. Daniel was out of pocket this week, so I am flying solo. He's going to be back with us next week. In fact, he mentioned to me in our last conversation that he has something that he wants to discuss and talk about on our show next week. So I'm going to make sure that I let Daniel take the reins and take the lead of the program. So make sure you stay in touch with us and kick into next week's episode, which will be episode 77. This is episode 76, incidentally. And it's going to be a good one today, something we're going to talk about. I think that everybody will have an opinion on, and I think you're going to be in tune with it. So make sure you stick around for this entire episode. Right now, we're going to take a moment to shout out to some of our newcomers who have reached out to us over the past couple weeks, and we've got a nice long list here. First of all, to Vishal Danukari, the folks at T-League, to Kohler Company, Van and Motoring, Caravan Insurance in the UK, also to Sonia Fisher in the UK. They are following us on Twitter. And we also want to say hello to T. Ray Sufsinski, Micah R. Dingo, Mountain Adventures, and our friends over at Cabela's. They have added us to circles this past week on Google+. Thank you all so much for joining us and being a part of this great Happy Camper Radio family. And before we forget, I also want to say hello to somebody very special, and that is Misty Aguiano Spanberger of Pensacola, Florida. This past week, she shared some pictures of her brand new Eco Scamper RV. And she wants to let us know that she's enjoying our fireside chats. And she also shared a couple pictures, her glamping pictures, with her 3 little dogs. She likes us on Facebook. Misty, we're glad to have you on board and hope you have many, many great years with your new Eco Scamper RV. Hey, you want to be a guest on the show? That's very easy to do. Get in touch with Daniel and I. You can email me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com, or Daniel at happycamperradio.com. Let us know that you want to be on the show, and we will gladly connect you with us on one of the days that we have an episode upcoming. You can also sign up for a Google Plus account if you haven't already done that. That's very simple to do. Just go ahead and sign up and make sure that you add the Happy Camper Radio Show to your circles. We'll have some upcoming guests on the show. in the weeks ahead, so make sure you stay in tune with us. Today, we're going to be talking, and I don't want to call this a controversial issue because everybody may have an opinion on this. Some people may not, but I think it's important to discuss. We're going to talk today about firearms at camp. This is not about gun safety. It's not about whether you should hold the gun in an upright position, down position, or anything like that. We're not talking about gun safety, but we're going to talk about the idea of somebody possessing firearms at camp. And I'm talking about a public campground or private campground. How do you feel about that situation? Do you feel that people who have the right to own guns should be able to bring guns to camp? Everybody has an opinion. You're going to find that most, if not all, public and private campgrounds prohibit the possession of firearms at camp. As a law enforcement officer, a retired law enforcement officer, you can probably guess that myself, like so many other retirees, probably have guns at home. I have no problem mentioning the fact that, yes, I do. These are weapons that I have carried in the course of my duty, and I also have some family heirlooms. At one time in my life, I was a hunter. I don't do that anymore. I don't have the heart to do that anymore. But I still have a lot of weapons that were passed on down from several generations from my great-grandfather all the way down to me, and I'm hoping to pass that on to some of my nieces and nephews later on in future years as I get older, because my two daughters I know are not interested in guns, and I definitely would like those weapons to stay within the family. But some people own guns and some people do not. Most gun owners, I think, would agree with me that guns do not belong at public or private campgrounds. Now, some people do still carry guns regardless of what the rules are or what the laws are. Hey, I'm just telling you the way it is. You may be at a private or a public campground, and the person camping next to you may have a concealed weapon. I'm not saying go out and ask them if they are carrying guns based upon, you hearing this show and it's sparking your curiosity or anything like that. But I really, truly believe there are some people that because they may carry a concealed weapons permit, feel that they have the right to carry that weapon anywhere they want to go. And that is wrong. You've got to know what the rules are. You've got to know what the laws are. And you may find that most people, even though they do possess a weapon that may be out of sight and out of mind, they still may have that weapon with them. It may be locked in the glove compartment of their car. It may be in the trunk of their car. It may be under the front seat. You may not see it, but they may have it. And it may be something of comfort to them. I don't know. But I really believe that some people, regardless of what the laws say, what the rules say, will still carry a concealed weapon because they feel they, number one, need to, or because they feel that they have the right to. Some people cite the Second Amendment, and they feel, well, the Second Amendment says that they have the right to keep and bear arms, that they don't have to follow the rules. Not the case. Now, what brings this conversation into play? Recently here in the state of Georgia, where we live in the United States, a lawsuit was filed in the U.S. District Court of Georgia by an individual who believes his Second Amendment rights were violated. He seeks permission to carry his concealed weapon on federally managed land that are managed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This is going to be land for purposes of boating and camping. He went through the normal channels, so I understand, and asked for permission, and that permission was denied. So he decided he was going to go ahead and file this lawsuit. It is not the first time a lawsuit of this nature has been filed. This one here is in the state of Georgia. I believe there's another one pending, or if it's hasn't been adjudicated in the courts, it may be, I think that's going to be in the state of Idaho. But for right now, the only way that you can bring firearms on property that is managed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is for hunting purposes only, or with the permission of the commissioner. And for now, guns are not permitted. Each and every week, we feature a campground through recreation.gov, and most of those, if not all of them, are managed through the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And the rule is right now that even though you may have a concealed weapon permit, you may not be hunting. You may be going out using their property for the purposes of boating. You may be going camping. And you feel you have the right to carry a gun because the state that you live in has given you a concealed weapon permit. In this case, we're dealing with federal law. And I don't know if it's actually a federal law, but the rules are, as far as the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers go, you cannot bring that weapon on their property for the purposes of camping or boating. But if you have a state-issued hunting license and you are engaging in the sport of hunting, then you can carry your weapons on their property for that purpose. A lot of this has to do, this lawsuit, a lot of this has to do with the laws in Georgia that have recently changed as it pertains to gun ownership and carrying firearms in public places. That new law in this state went into effect this past July. In fact, it was July 1st of 2014 that new law went into effect. How do you feel about carrying guns at camp? Would like to hear from you. Weigh in on this. And you can do that by emailing Daniel and I, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com, or like I say, Daniel at happycamperradio.com. You can also go to our homepage, which is happycamperradio.com, and click on the Contact Us button. And tell us what your thoughts are, or give us a call at 404-537-2267. That's 404-537-CAMP. Can you still carry a weapon on property such as federally owned property with a permit? I think you'll be surprised to find out that you cannot. Your permits are going to be issued by the state in which you reside. Now, I'm only talking about the United States here, and I know this show reaches out to several countries outside of the United States. And in each individual country, they have their own rules and laws, just like other states outside of Georgia have their own rules and laws. So I'm not trying to saying this is going to be blanketed throughout our entire listenership, because it's not. Laws differ state by state and country by country. Now, a property owner can still disallow, in this state here, somebody with a concealed weapons permit on their property. Let's say I've invited somebody into my home, and that person has a concealed weapons permit, and they have a permit on them. Do you feel that that person has a right to be in my home with that gun, with that firearm, even though they have a permit in hand, and I've got to allow them in my home because the law says they can carry that weapon? No. It's my property, and if I decide that I do not want this individual in my house, I have the right to say, hey, I'm sorry, you've got to leave. The same way with these private campgrounds. I can't say that I have been to a whole lot of campgrounds where there are signs posted outside that say firearms are not permitted on this property. You may find when you check into the office and pay your campground fees, they may give you a brochure. They may have it posted inside the lobby. They may have it written in the brochure somewhere on a fine line that says the do's and the don'ts. You know, just about every public and private campground have rules posted somewhere. And somewhere buried in all those rules may be something that reads that firearms are not permitted at this campground. Those individuals have the right to say whether or not guns are permitted, whether you have a concealed weapons permit or not. So you've got to keep that in mind. I can say this. I have camped for many, many years, since I was a kid, and I'm in my upper 50s right now. Just about every single campground that I have been to, whether it be in my current home state or states that I have lived in the past or states that I have visited, not one time that I can think of at the top of my head have I ever felt threatened or have I ever felt not safe because I didn't have a concealed weapon with me. I feel so comfortable being around fellow campers, and I've never had the reason to fear anything that goes on at that campground. Aside from maybe a tree falling, that has always scared the daylights out of me. We've had dog owners who have always been responsible dog owners at camp, so I've never felt any the fear of anybody's pets. So I really, even though, like I says, I am a firearm owner, I have never taken a weapon to a campground that I knew that weapons were not permitted. I've never felt the need to. And yes, I have gone there knowing in the back of my mind somewhere amongst all these hundreds and hundreds of campers who may be there, somebody may be violating the rules. And they just may be keeping their weapon inside their vehicle, out of sight and out of mind. I don't think it's right. You shouldn't do it. If it's not permitted, you shouldn't be there. And you still insist on bringing a weapon. No. Yes, permit holders can be asked to leave the property they are on. That permit that is issued by your state does not give you blanketed protection. The laws in the state of Georgia, some of the laws, and I don't have all the laws in front of me because I don't want to turn this conversation into what the law says, what the law doesn't say. But some of the places that people now in this state can carry firearms include churches. Can you believe that? Yes, you can carry a gun to church. You can also carry a gun in a bar. I am totally against that. Guns and alcohol do not mix, and I think most common sense people out there will agree with me on this. You do not want to be around somebody who is consuming alcohol that has a firearm. It is a deadly combination. So look at it like this, too. If you are of legal age to drink, you drink beer, you drink wine, you drink alcoholic beverages because you are over the age of 21. Do you feel that you should be able to go to a public or private campground and drink and use the argument, well, hey, the law says I'm old enough to drink, so you have a rule here that says no alcoholic beverages on the property. Does that mean that I should not be able to drink while I'm here? All right, if they say no alcoholic beverages are permitted, it's their property. They have the right to prohibit that. And you're going to find that most family-oriented campgrounds do not want alcohol consumption anywhere on their property. You're there to have a good time, folks. Admit it. And what's so wrong with that? That's what camping is all about. Getting out with your family, getting out with your friends. That's what this show is all about. It's about promoting good family-oriented camping. And unlike this trip that I just came back from New York, I do not want to come home tired and exhausted. I want to come home from a camping trip all pumped up and ready to go on my next adventure. That's how it is. So, just because the law says you can do something because it's legal does not mean you can do it in certain places if it's prohibited. Remember that. Now, firearm licensing in the state of Georgia, for example, is going to require a background check, and it's usually done through the probate court system. The license is going to be good for maybe 3 to 5 years. You can't have any felony convictions in your record. The law is going to allow the licensee to carry the firearm concealed, which means you can carry it under your coat, you can carry it in your vehicle. Well, in fact, in the state of Georgia, I can tell you this much, and I'm just speaking for this particular state, not all states, because every state is different. But in the state of Georgia, you can carry a concealed weapon in your vehicle without a permit. There has been several changes to the firearm possession laws in Georgia over the years, and some of the ones back in the day They had to be changed because a lot of them didn't make any sense. They were conflicting with each other. People couldn't make heads or tails what the law read. There was a lot of legal challenges to it, but this new law that went into effect back on July 1st has really made things kind of laxed, or should I say relaxed, where people can carry firearms in places where they normally couldn't carry them. But, today we're talking about firearms at camp. Should they be permitted? Should they not? And I would like you to weigh in on this because everybody has an opinion, and I think that you're going to find that most family-oriented campers will agree with me that they would rather go to a campground, whether a public campground or private campground, and be somewhere where you do not have firearms around you. You want to be in a family-friendly environment, a firearms-free environment, and you shouldn't have to go there knowing that something bad is going to happen to the point where somebody needs to pull out a gun. It's up to the gun owners to know the law. Permit holders, I can tell you this much, have been arrested for failing to obey the law. And I know, and I'm speaking from experience because as a retired law enforcement officer, I have arrested people with firearms. And some people think that, well, hey, I've got a permit. I can do anything I want. No, you can't. You cannot do that. It's going to be up to the individual to take the time to become educated, to ask questions, and to know the law. And some of these laws are very, very complex. You've got to take the time to research. You've got to take the time to understand. You've got to take the time to know what you can do and what you cannot do. And again, this whole conversation today that I am bringing up as part of episode 76 is because I was inspired to do this based upon the news that came out just a couple weeks ago about this new lawsuit that was being filed by this individual who belongs to a firearms group here in this state, who did, incidentally, the right thing from the very beginning. He just did not go out and file a lawsuit and say, I don't like these rules, I need to go ahead and be the person that's going to change them. He went out and, first of all, asked permission. He come to find out that what he wanted to do as a concealed weapons permit holder was not permitted on an Army Corps of Engineer property. He felt that his Second Amendment rights were being violated, so instead of going out and carrying that weapon onto their property and saying, all right, here I am, do something about it, arrest me. No, he didn't do that. He went ahead and hired an attorney, and he is challenging their rules about not being able to carry a concealed weapon on Army Corps of Engineer property. I don't know how this is going to play out in the courts. He may be successful, he may not. But for right now, if you are camping at a Army Corps of Engineer property, you cannot, unless you are there for the purpose of hunting or have permission from them, you cannot bring a firearm onto their property. I do not take my guns anywhere with me. Even though I have been retired for nearly 10 years now, I don't feel the need to carry a gun with me everywhere I go. I know some fellow law enforcement officers that they will not walk out the front door of their home unless they have a gun strapped to their side. That's a terrible way to live your life, if you ask me. But some people are that way. And again, I have never been to a public or a private campground where I felt the need to have a weapon that I felt that in some point during my stay, whether I'm staying for the week or whether I'm staying for a short 3-day visit, would I ever be threatened by anybody and need to have a firearm for protection. Camping would not be fun. Camping would not be an enjoyable activity for any of us if we had to feel the need to bring a gun each and everywhere we went. I don't know. What's your thoughts on it? Get in touch with Daniel and I at happycamperradio.com. and let us know what you think. Also, give us a call at 404-537-CAMP and check in and let us know how you feel about this subject matter. I know Daniel, he for one, and I should have brought this up right from the very beginning, Daniel has never sat down with me for as long as we've been knowing one another and sat down and had a conversation about firearms, because Daniel is one of those individuals. I don't believe he possesses a firearm. He may. If he does, he has never brought it up. But, you know, there are people like that. And if people don't want to own guns, hey, I'm all for that. If some people do want to own guns and they have the legal right under the laws of our Constitution, hey, I'm all for that too. Should the mentally ill and the mentally disturbed have guns? No. But it's up to each and every individual to become educated, to know what you can do, what you can't do if you're a firearm owner, what the rules are, what your boundaries are, and take the time to learn what those laws are based upon the state or the country you live in. It's time now for our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. And this week, we are going to go to the state of Arizona, to the Lynx Lake Recreation Area. And this particular campground was recommended to us by longtime listener J.D. Sutter, who is here today to tell us exactly what this is all about.
Hello, Skip and Daniel. This is J.D. Sutter from Phoenix, Arizona, calling in. I'm actually calling in today from the Lynx Lake Recreation Area. And just wanted to say real quickly that I really enjoy the show, appreciate all that you guys do, and just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a review of this Lynx Lake Recreation Area. It's one of the most popular spots in central Arizona, and according to the pamphlet, more than 90,000 people come through here every year. They have a 55-acre lake, and there are two campground site loops. There's the Lynx loop, and then also the Hilltop loop, and they have almost 70 or over 70 different campsites, and they are open through April 1st through October 31st, so there's plenty of time to come camping at this place. It's very beautiful. If you want to see some pictures, I posted a few on Google Plus, and I tagged the Happy Camper Radio Show, so you can check those out. But just thought I'd give you a little review of this place. It's very nice. Lots of day use areas with ramadas and picnic tables, grills, and there's even a little store where you can rent boats and just go out on the lake. So anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Really enjoy the show. We'll check with you later. Bye.
Well, thank you, JD. And that's what I want. That's what I would like to hear, are people who are so fascinated with the camping experience that they had that they will call the show and tell us about it. And that's exactly what JD did. Thank you so much, JD. It's the Lynx Lake Recreation Area. It's located just outside of Prescott, Arizona. So if you happen to be camping in Arizona or traveling through there and are looking for a great destination, that's it. Lynx Lake Recreation Area. It's our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. And as always, if you have a campground that you would like Daniel and I to feature on the program, all you've got to do is get in touch with us, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com, or Daniel at happycamperradio.com. I like it when he says that better. Or you can go to our webpage, happycamperradio.com, and click on the Contact Us button. If you're good at audio and you want to send us an MP3 file just like JD did, hey, do so. Tell us about that campground that you've been to, and we'll feature it on the program. Mr. Wonderful will be back with us next week, and I'm looking so forward to you joining us too. Don't forget, you can catch us online anytime at www.happycamperradio.com. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, and add us to your circles on Google+. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. And you, my friends, can be a happy camper too. We'll catch you next week. This is Happy Camper Radio.